I spent too much time at Burning Man. I spent double the time I spent the last time. Burning Man is a celebration in the desert of all different kinds of people. It's about self-reliance, it's about acceptance, it seems to be about drugs and nudity, that too.
Yeah.
And this year I had a mission, which was to take Timothy Leary's ashes, which I had, some up, and take them to a chapel where they were, a friend of mine who's an... We did drink a little.
You did. You drank some of Timothy Leary's ashes?
We diluted them just for a toast at the end of the day. But most of them went into the chapel, and I went early to help build it. Michael Garlington built this beautiful
Oh, well, you
chapel.
brought some pictures, so let's go through this here. Well, you really are coughing up dirt, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, there's it looks like fun. Anything where you have to wear a face mask, I'm out. All right. This is.
That's the temple. I have a nail gun. I put lots of stuff on that temple.
With my built that?
Well, not all 5 stories, but it was very layered. It was very beautiful, and everyone's jaws are open. I used a nail gun, and it was fun. I'm not against nail guns, just other kinds of guns. And yeah, that was that. That was the dress that I wore when I took the ashes. And I hung the dress, as you see in the next photo.
Sounding better and better with each passing moment.
And I burned my dress, and there it is before the chapel was burned.
What were you wearing when you burned the dress?
I had changed.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, this sounds...
It was the next day. We didn't burn it. The ashes stayed there so people could visit with Timothy and leave messages and trip their brains out or whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah, right, yeah. And that's probably primarily what they were doing.
I think it was great. Some people that are using LSD didn't even know about Timothy, so it was like your generation thing. I had to inform them.
Yeah, really?
That you should be shot if you're doing that drug and you don't know who he is.
Next time we play Generation Gap, we're going to have the contestants take LSD beforehand. The first game show where they did it.
Actually, I'm just a demented homeless chick who lives in the sewers.
How'd you end up there?
Drugs. Lots and lots and lots of mind-altering, enchanting drugs!
Crowley had hoped to get his disciples into influential positions in America to influence the masses. One such disciple was former Harvard professor turned drug guru, Timothy Leary. Timothy Leary, the defunct Harvard professor, led the drug revolution in the 1960s as he handed out mescaline and LSD like it was candy to the youth. This in turn opened up the hippie youth of the West to the pagan demonic gods of the East, who were also promoted by Aleister Crowley. We can see here that Timothy Leary is under a painting which bears the number of the Antichrist, 666, who is prophesied to rule the world until he's destroyed by Christ at Armageddon. Timothy Leary claimed that he came to the realization that he was to usher in Crowley's new age when he was using Crowley's tarot cards. Leary asked the question, who am I and what is my destiny? Leary claims that he then cut to the Ace of Disc. Robert Anton Wilson declared, this shows a large disc bearing the Greek letters to Megatherion, the great beast. Leary interpreted this to mean that he is Crowley reborn and is supposed to complete the work Crowley began. On a PBS interview, Timothy Leary let his hair down and admitted that he was carrying on Satanist Aleister Crowley's work and that the 1960s is when the plan began to come to fruition.
Well, I've been an admirer of Aleister Crowley. I think that I'm carrying on much of the work that he started over 100 years ago, and I think the 60s themselves. You know, Crowley said he was in favor of finding your own self and do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, under love. It was a very powerful statement. I'm sorry he isn't around now to appreciate the glories that he started.
As Satan guided Crowley, Crowley declared that his writings were to be, quote, circulated among the young, end quote. Crowley predicted that America would pick up, quote, a few axioms on which a working majority can agree, a few dogmas which it could rally. Do what thou wilt, of course, became do your own thing, and if it feels good, do it in the 1960s. Timothy Leary came up with a few of his own.
He looked out at that crowd and he said, turn on, tune in,
that's right,
and drop out.
Turn on, tune in, and drop out.
We're turned on, and we're tuned in, and we're very dropped out.
Turn on, tune in, and drop out.
Turn on, tune in, and drop out became turn on, tune in, and take over, as the easily led Crowleyan youth culture was deceived into believing that they had received spiritual enlightenment, when in fact they had swung the door open to Satan and his plan to destroy the world. Satan had effectively slipped in his destructive teachings to undermine traditional moral values through the cloak of a supposed anti-materialistic peace movement. Crowley taught that his satanic doctrine should be cloaked under the lie of love, and he believed the youth would fall for it. If Timothy Leary was Crowley's drug guru of the 1960s, Leary dubbed John Lennon and the Beatles as the four evangelists. The Beatles wrote the song Come Together as a campaign song for Leary's hopeful presidential bid that, thank God, never got off the ground.
Attention, please!
Thank you all for coming. I'm speaking for our host, who I'm very grateful to because he doesn't have any voice left. At least that's the excuse that he gave, making me do this. Thank you all for coming. This is a ceremony, well, a very minimal ceremony for Timothy Leary's ashes, which are in here, and which you all very generously have agreed to walk with us to the Totem of Confessions, where we're going to leave him, and he'll be there until it burns. He'll be double crispy on Saturday.
Recremated. Recremated on Saturday.
Recremated on Saturday. So thank you all for coming. For anyone who doesn't know who Timothy Leary is and you've taken acid, you should be ashamed of yourself. Everyone who's joined in the sacrament tonight, I'm really happy to hear there's a lot of you, and he'd be so happy to know that this is going on here. I got his ashes. Timothy Leary, for those of you who don't know, was the leader of the whole thing to take LSD away from the CIA and make it a means of exploration for everybody. And he suffered at times for doing that. I mean, legally he suffered and was in prison for a while. And he's called the father of this movement. And he was a very happy, loved women, loved all the conversation that was going on, that was beginning with the internet and everything, had an enormous amount of faith in the future and in youth, loved touring colleges for that reason and here, and he would be so excited all the time. And the bulk of his ashes were jettisoned into space at his request, and then he left a tiny bit, just a little hors d'oeuvre portion for a few people, and I was lucky enough to be one of those people. And so I've been thinking what to do with these ashes all this time, because he was a prophet, really. And first time I went to Burning Man, I thought, well, they should live here. And then in a very organic kind of fabulous way that involved Adam and Stefan and Simone somewhere, and Michael Garlington dedicated the chapel to him, and so he found a really significant chance to just say goodbye to everybody, and for you to say goodbye to him. So maybe we're going to wait. Is the car here? You have to know. We're going to put the chest onto the octopus, right?
I think we'll carry it out.
We'll carry it out, obviously.
When we get too tired to carry it,
yeah, we'll carry it for a while. So I don't know if anybody wants to share their funniest trip or their worst. You can speak now. We've had quite a few confessions already about LSD or mushrooms has affected people. It seems to be a gateway drug to a lot of interesting thought. Anyway, And now we're giving out, some of you have posters, and there's going to be some kazoos handed out.
So the mission is to
Yeah, good lighting. That is trippy.
Yeah.
Will you make a prediction of the future?
Genuinely?
Yeah.
I'm pretty careful with that stuff.
I have a feeling that America is going to be a Burning Man country.
I'm a little concerned right now about your salvation and stuff.
Lots and lots and lots of lots and lots and